So $1 today invested is worth more than $1 tomorrow. Time value of money, understanding it from an investor perspective, I need to invest that cash today. It is disadvantageous for me to hold on to money and leave it in my bank account because why? Number one, you're probably going to get taxed on the money. So you have to invest your money in order for it to out earn inflation and for you to have more money in the future. Welcome back, everyone, to the Learn Like a CPA show. I'm your host, Ryan Bakey, and today I want to talk a little bit about the number one most important concept when it comes to investing, and that's called time value of money. So in the finance world, they teach time value of money as this concept of $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. And what that means is if I have $1 today and I can invest that dollar, that in the future, the money that I'm going to have is going to be worth more than if I just keep it in a bank account today. And the way to think about this, I always explain this to people, is that imagine playing hot potato. The only person that gets hurt and when you play hot potato is the person that holds on to the potato. So anytime you have a large influx of cash, maybe you sold a rental property, maybe you received an inheritance, whatever it might be, the quicker you can get that money deployed and working for you in different types of assets, the better off financially you're going to be, because history, over 100 years of investing history has told us that we need to invest our money to out earn inflation costs, okay? Because the government wants to tell us that inflation is 3, 4, 5% a year, when realistically we know that it's more like 9 or 10%. Just look at the price of milk and eggs recently. So you have to invest your money in order for it to out earn inflation and for you to have more money in the future. So $1 today invested is worth more than $1 tomorrow. And that's the fundamental concept behind a lot of tax planning, right? A lot of tax planning is how can we accelerate those depreciation, those deductions today, so we could take advantage of those tax savings in year one or today. And then in the future, because we save so much money in the beginning, we're able to reinvest that money and it's going to earn us enough to pay back whatever debt we have, to pay back any sort of taxes that we owe. $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. An important concept to understand, and you should go back to one of my podcast episodes called Einstein's Law of 72, and I talk about how long does it take you to double your money. So two numbers that multiply together that equal 72, that's how long it takes you to double your money. So if you have an interest rate and years, those are the two numbers we're using. So for example, if I can achieve an 8% interest rate, an 8% growth rate, that's typically what this S&P 500 has produced over the last 100 years, it will take me 9 years to double that investment. So if I have $100,000 invested at 8%, it's going to take me 9 years, 8 times 9 equals 72, to double that $100,000. And so understanding that time value of money means, well, what does it cost me to do that? Well, if I can go borrow money over here at 3% and I'm investing it at 8%, in 9 years, I'm going to double that money, but I have to pay back money at 2%, 3% interest, and everybody can tell that that's a good deal. So understanding how time value of money plays into Einstein's Law of 72, that plays into being a borrower or being a lender. So time value of money, understanding it from an investor perspective is that I need to invest that cash today. Actually, it is disadvantageous for me to hold on to money and leave it in my bank account, because why? Number one, you're probably going to get taxed on the money. Okay, just like the hot potato example. If you have a lot of wealth or a lot of money that comes in either from a business or a rental property sale or your W-2 job, if you are not redeploying that capital, the government's going to tax it. So then you're going to lose likely 30% of whatever money that comes in is going to get paid out to taxes. So if I had $100,000 gain, I'm sending $30,000 of it to the government. So then I'm only left with $70,000. But then the money that's sitting in my bank account is losing value to inflation. So after a year, that $70,000 turns into what? It turns into $64,000, $65,000. Now, not in the sense that the money's getting out of your bank account, but your purchasing power erodes over time, because that money is worth less in the future because everything gets more expensive in the future. And so if you don't reinvest that money, you're not going to out earn what inflation's running. So as an investor, you have to understand that if you can achieve a nominal rate of return whether it's you're just investing in the stock market, you're earning your 8, 9, 10% a year on average, or if you're a real estate investor and you're earning 15 to 20% return on your money, which typically real estate over the last 100 years has outperformed the stock market pretty significantly when you factor in appreciation, debt pay down, tax benefits, and this, what we're talking about, this interest rate hedge, right? If I could borrow money on a fixed rate at 4 or 5%, but then when I go to pay that debt back, I'm paying it back in the future. Because as an investor, I want to take somebody's money or my money, invest it today, and repay back in the future. Because if I owe you $10,000, you want the $10,000 immediately. But if I told you, hey, I'll give you the $10,000, but it's going to be spread out over 5 years, you're going to want interest. And so understanding from an investor perspective how time value of money works and how you can use math to increase your wealth. It's not that complicated. If I can borrow money and out earn that a nominal rate, whether it's in real estate or the stock market, I will become wealthy. Now, on the flip side of that, understanding time value of money from a borrower perspective, this is why you always want to look at, and what we have clients fill out is a net worth statement. Figure out where their debt is, because as an investor, I can make money two ways, either increasing revenue, generating more income, or cutting expenses. And a lot of investors aren't paying off their highest interest debt first. So if I have, credit cards or maybe student loans or car loans, credit cards, those are going to be at higher interest rates. So as a borrower, I need to understand that the longer that accrues, if we flip the coin and now I'm the borrower and I have to pay that money back, time value of money actually isn't in my favor, because the longer it takes me to pay that money back, the more it's going to accrue, and I'm going to lose purchasing power with my dollars. I'm going to lose all sorts of things. But if I'm a smart investor, I'm a smart borrower, and I'm locked in 4.5%, 5% fixed rate mortgage. That's why a lot of people now have sub 4% 30-year fixed mortgages on their house. That's the number one best investment you can have right now, is a 30-year fixed below 4%, because that alone is making you money. Why? Because inflation is running at 7, 8 to 10% a year. You're borrowing money at 3 or 4% a year, and you're literally making money just by holding onto that note, because the money that you're paying the bank back isn't worth as much as the money that you borrowed in the year one. And of course, you're getting appreciation and other tax benefits on owning that asset. So inflation has a negative impact on time value of money depending on what side of the coin you're on, right? As the borrower, if I have to pay back money on a fixed rate, I actually like inflation, because the money that I'm paying back is not worth as much as the money that I borrowed. Now, on the opposite, you can get stuck, and that's why typically you don't want to invest in like fixed income or debt or anything that's a guaranteed rate of return stream, especially when you're younger, because there could be a good chance that the money that you receive as an investor isn't worth what it should have been when you originally invested the money, right? So if I have, let's say I bought a government treasury, I put $10,000 in there, and they're guaranteeing me a flat 4% return. Okay, so I'm getting, let's say I'm getting $400 a year return on that. Well, if inflation is running at 7 or 8%, I'm not even keeping up with inflation. So that's a case where understanding how inflation interacts with time value of money is an important concept as an investor, and something that I want you guys to understand. So that's going to wrap up the Time Value of Money podcast. I know, short and sweet. If you have more questions about this, feel free to get in touch with me on the Tax Strategies for Real Estate Investors Facebook group. We have over 10,000 real estate investors in there posting and engaging daily. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next episode.